Voilà.
Hello, Jean-Claude. Then it was an interview in Inset with you, and the surprise, and this interview it was in 2015, and very few people they realize, and actually everything what you said as a trend, mainly in hospitality industry, are still available today. But today, people, I disclose is more secret, and people they are aware that we are at the end of the first series of webinars, and I want to ask Jean-Claude Biver, what is the situation now with his long management experience with a lot of crises on the watch industry and what was happening in the world till now. How do you see today's situation, mainly for the hospitality industry?
First thing I thank you. First thing I would like to say is that um, in life, the mistakes, the failures, the errors are there in order to improve. Uh, Thanks to all the mistakes you do, you are coming closer to success, provided you don't repeat the same mistake 2 times. Uh, at the same thing, I would say crises are there to be to help to overcome them and to come closer to success. So the crisis, when the crisis is your enemy, you have already lost. But the crisis should also become your friend, which means in the crisis there are always opportunities, and the opportunities you have to catch them, you have to invest on them, you have to ride with them. The problem is that when the crisis comes, people are usually getting in panic, people are afraid, people are totally blocked, and people only see the negative strengths. Uh, and for me, the crisis, as terrible it can be, and this one is horrible. I think 100 years ago, for the last 100 years, we haven't seen such a terrible, horrible, dramatic crisis. But nevertheless, this crisis, one day, we will find out that she came in order to help us, in order to help us to review our concepts, to review our philosophy, to review our solidarity, to review our way of sharing. So the crisis that we are going through today, I am trying to find how can this be interpreted in a positive way for tomorrow. And for sure, there are signs that we can already read a little bit, because we will have before Christ and we will have after Christ. And the world after this Christ, after this virus, will never be the same as before. It would be too easy if things would go on just after the Christ like before. That's impossible. It's like the 9/11. Never did we have the same world after 9/11. Before 9/11 was different than after. This time, uh, it will happen in the same way, but in the more spiritual way. We are clearly going toward more spirituality. We are going towards more love, more respect, more sharing, more substance, more authenticity, more tradition, and finally, more God. And who is God? God means eternity. We have to connect to elements that brings us to eternity. Like what? What is eternity? Eternity is God, okay? But you can believe or not in God, doesn't matter. But eternity is also art. The art of Mozart is not dead. The art of the Beatles is still there. The art of Picasso is still there. So you see, art is part of eternity. What else is eternity? Love. Love is eternal. And so we have to find in this new Christ a way to get out and to connect to something that becomes eternal. And when I say eternity is love, love, what is love? Love is I share. Love is I respect. Love is I help. Love is I understand. Love is I don't judge. I try to learn. Love is I treat. So in the hospitality industry, love is essential. We have to learn to treat people again. And who is the boss of an hotel or a restaurant or a bar? Who's the boss? The boss is the customer, not the owner, not the manager. The manager is not the boss. He's just there to make sure that he serves the customer. And the customer is the king. And this we have to learn again. I remember a few years or even very shortly, in certain hotels, luxury hotels, you were treated like a number. That if I'm treated like a number in a Formula One hotel, okay, I know why. I know that why I pay this price because I'm treated like anonymous. But if you pay a certain price, you should be treated like a king. And this is something that we have to learn again, not in the hospitality industry, in every industry, and especially in the luxury industry. Luxury has become a marketing declaration, a marketing tool, a marketing business. Okay, marketing, why not? I'm not against marketing, but we should never forget the substance that is behind. If you have a substance, if you have authenticity, then you can market it because we must market. If not, people will never know. If not, people will never understand. If not, people will never learn. So marketing is how I can make people learn that I'm existing. How can I make people know that they will have a fantastic treatment in my hotel or in my restaurant? So marketing, nothing is wrong, but marketing only, that's wrong. We must have reality. And today we are learning that we have to come back to reality. We have to come back to the authenticity. We have, and simplicity is when simplicity is authentic, at the end, that's luxury. To be now, we are confined, and to be able to make a barbecue in your garden with your family, wow, but that's luxury also. So you see, the luxury and the world of hospitality will have different facets, not only the traditional understanding of luxury. So I see in this crisis a lot of pain, horrible pain, I must say, but I see also opportunities. And we have no other choice than to look at the opportunities. Because if we don't look at the opportunities this crisis is bringing, then we can kill ourselves because then nothing is positive. The only positive element is how do we learn about thanks to the Christ? How do we get out of it? How do we improve ourselves? How do we connect at the end to eternity?
You spoke about luxury, and there are a lot of people, and they see today a huge opportunity also to re-engineering luxury because usually after the crisis is the first segment that it's recover. Then probably then the rich people became much more rich and the poor became much more poor. The big company biggest and the small company smallest, and the big fish will eat the small one, as usually what's happened. But tell us something about the luxury and the ways that the luxury will change a little bit or not. The human being is the same, or some really things will come also for the luxury, because this is in common for the watch industry and for the hotel industry.
I tell you, luxury is love. And you know what? There are two things that you cannot buy. You cannot buy love and you cannot buy health. You see now with the virus, if you are rich or poor, it will hit you in the same way. It doesn't choose uh, uh, only the poor. Of course, there are more casualties if you live all together in a big apartment with 6 or 8 people than if you live alone. But at the end, for me, luxury means one, love. That's that you cannot buy, and two, it means health. So uh, in the luxury business, we have to find again how can we bring love in our business. How can I bring love in my business? How can I bring love in my watches? How can I bring love in my hotel? Of course, number one, service. Number two, you must love your people. You must love your king. And who's the king? Your customer. And not many people are conscious that they have to love the customer, that they have to respect the customer, that that the customer is even the king. It's not the boss or the owner of the hotel who is the king. No, it's the customer. Um, we have to come back to these standard values. That is how luxury was built. But as more luxury became got into marketing, as more as we had schools bringing technocrats of luxury in the market, they forgot sometimes the essential point, which is the customer. So for me, there is no doubt, um, and I'm repeating myself now, we have to reinvent how to treat the customer. How do I treat him? How do I please him? What, how do I bring him surprises? How do I bring him an experience? When you buy luxury in an hotel or in a watch, and it's not an experience, it's just an exchange of money. You pay and you get a watch. You pay and you get a room for one night. But that's not enough because that's just money. The customer needs more than money. Money, exchange money. I pay you 300 and you give me a room for 300. Where's the profit? Zero. But if you give me, in addition to the room, an experience, the experience can be a smile. The experience can be a nice word. The experience can be flowers. The experience can be a special attention, whatever. Then I have the sensation I got more than 300. I got treated. I didn't get for my money, I get more than for my money. And that's the thing. Bring the customer more than for what he pays, but not in values, in the attention, in the treatment, in the emotion. That is what you have to do.
There are also a very good hoteliers in the five-star in the luxury segments, and they know very clear this lesson, and they do not treat the customer as a customer but as a guest. That's why any other sector they want to learn how to transform a customer in a guest and to treat him as a guest. But you say that the most important thing is to treat him as a king. And in French, we are saying roi. And ROI, it's three letter, ROI. And ROI, it's in fact the return on investment, that treating the customer as a king, that means that you have a better return on investment, probably. And I think that the same thing that it was with all the brand that you created to recreate it, you bring much more return for the investor because you put this love, probably. Is the same recipe for hospitality?
Yes, it's the same, and you are right. We bring love in our tools, in our products. A watch is a tool. A watch is a tool that indicates, in principle, what time it is. But we have been able to give to this tool a soul. Wow! But if you have a tool that is driven by a battery and electronics and made by machines, then never will you get a soul into it because machines cannot give soul. An automat cannot give soul. Only human being can transfer a soul. So that is a very important point. The soul can only be given by people. And that is great because we see now people are becoming the most important element into luxury because they provide soul. And an hotel has a soul. Sometimes I said to a few people, for me, the soul of an hotel is the concierge. Because he is the first face you see. He is the guy that makes everything that is impossible, he makes it possible. He gives you the keys. He is an extraordinary important man. And I always respected Les Clés d'Or. I made a few conferences at Les Clés d'Or because I really admired this concierge. And I always thought concierge can make day and night of an hotel. He can make everything possible. He can give this soul. So in the hospitality industry, the people are key. And we have to educate people to love others, to love the king. We have to educate our people how to dress a king, how to please a king. And there is no limit for the king. The king is above all. And very often in luxury hotels, sometimes you ask yourself, is this guy the king? Or am I the king? Because people who work in luxury, sometimes they forget that they have a customer. They believe, sometimes in the past, I went to a shop and I saw a lady, a sales lady, and I thought, my goodness, she thinks she's the spouse of Versace. She behaved as if she would be the owner of the brand. And so this arrogancy that's finished for today. We have to go back to the real values. And as I said, to to surprise the customer, to please the customer, to give to the customer the impression that he got more than just for his money. And if you get a fresh baked bread in the morning that smells extraordinarily well, and that has been done at 4:30 in the morning, the same morning, with flowers that came from the region, and a great marmalade of strawberries, God, and with a great butter, but that's already a luxury. So at every stage, we have to surprise the customer. At every level, we have to transfer him the soul, which means our care and our love.
There are many people watching us and saying that, okay, this is very nice and you are right, probably, but we have a different problem. We don't have customer. We like to have a customer to treat them as a king, but we are closed. We have no business today. And that will be another month, another month, another month. And if you are saying watch industry, fine, you have the e-commerce, you can still continue to sell, but we cannot sell anymore. And I replied that you are coming from the watch industry, the Swiss watch industry. It was not the only catastrophe. Even without the pandemic, the Swiss industry already suffered in the past. And you recreate brand and you recover better than number like whom in this field. And you show that it's possible. If you'll be the owner of an hotel now, maybe a 5-star or a 4-star, doesn't matter, or even a Formula One, and you have your people and you invest in them till now, and today you have no business. What you'll do? Because the majority of the people, they will say, okay, fine, guys, but let me alone, I have no job now. Okay?
You know, I said today to my son in China, um, who is now in Hong Kong, who was in Hong Kong this morning, and I said, if you have the best shop of Hong Kong, the best location, the best people, the best product, the best prices, the best service, and you have no customer, how can you sell? It's impossible. And if you put into the showcase of the shop, today we sell all our watches free of charge. Just enter the shop. But if nobody is there, if the street is empty, nobody will come. That there are moments where you can do nothing. If nobody is on the streets, if there is a confinement, and if there are policemen out of the department store and tell customers, please go, we don't allow anybody to enter this department store, how can you sell? So there are always moments where you have no influence. But these moments are not forever. It will change. Nevertheless, there are ways in every industry to fight. I give you an example of the watch industry. As we had no customers, nobody is in the department store, nobody comes, so we cannot sell. So what did we do? We took the list of all our customers, we called them, or we made a mail, we contacted them, and we said, today, as we have the virus crisis, you cannot come out to visit our store. We will send you a limousine, and we will bring you to the store, our store, and the store will be reserved only for you. You will not cross anybody in the store except our salespeople, who all have a mask, who all have gloves, and the store is yours. And come with all your family, come with your friends, and the store will be for you from 3 o'clock to 5 o'clock. Boom. And you know what? Customers said, yes, this is a great idea. We come, and customers came. They were alone. This family was from 3 to 4, other family from 4 to 5, and we started to sell watches. So there are ways. Now, which way is adapted to the hotel industry? Honestly, I'm not enough in the details to know how this can happen. But it's still, there are possibilities. Maybe not today, because if the borders are closed and I cannot travel, I cannot go now to Saint-Tropez. The hotel can invite me, can send me letters that I have one room free of charge for the kids. If the borders are closed, I cannot travel, so I cannot come. So
It was a good example how to change a catastrophe in an opportunity, but what are you doing with your people? Because the other problem is not just the client, because we don't have the client, we have nevertheless loyal people that invest on the years, and now not in any country that it's help for the government with the unemployment, or if it does, they put a lot of conditions that you cannot respect it sometimes. Then what is the recipe now with your people?
I think people are the biggest asset, especially in luxury. Luxury means people. The contrary of luxury is machines. People are the key. So if you are in the luxury industry, there is one thing you cannot lose. The last thing you must give up is people. So try to reduce the rent, try to reduce costs, try to reduce indirect costs, try to reduce bonuses, but keep people and take advantage to instruct people, to give them additional instruction. And because as they have nothing to do for the moment, there is a good time now to teach, to learn, to make them learn, and to learn, not necessarily about their job, of course, also their job, but also to learn a little bit of spirituality, to learn about art, to learn about love. But don't lose your people, because your people is your future, because your people is your asset. And if you lose your people, then you're lost. It's more, for me, it's better to lose a place of a store because you don't want to pay the rent, but keep the people because people are making the difference. And if the store has to move because you cannot pay anymore, and the people move to the new store with a less good location, it doesn't matter so much because the people are making the difference and the customer will move. He will go, especially. And we have one example that is now 50 years old in Switzerland. We had a famous cook called Freddy Girardet, who was in an industrial zone called Crissier. He was not in Geneva, he was not in Zurich, he was in an industrial zone, even not Lausanne, outside Lausanne, that nobody could find. but but everybody finally found it, and everybody was going to him because he was so good, he was so famous that the place where his restaurant was not so important. He could have been, of course, in Zurich or in Geneva. Maybe he would have made a little bit more money. He would have had a little bit more customers. Eventually, even not. But you see, people is the biggest asset in luxury, and do whatever you can to reduce cost everywhere you can, uh, but don't lose people.
Uh, Jean-Claude, you are the first to transform a luxury watch, Tag Heuter, in a smartwatch, working hand in hand with Intel and with Google. And that was another success story, and probably a good example that you are always on the wake and you know what is the right moment to do it. All these people working in this IT company so successful now, also in what we are calling OTA, online travel agent, now they are staying at home. Then and probably they are not rest in peace, but they are working very hardly to change the world after this crisis. In the watch industry, you have also a lot of engineers that even they are at home, they are still working in order to create. What do you think about the creativity and innovation? What will be creativity and innovation after this crisis? And in which way you can prepare this creativity and innovation
I
after the
think
crisis?
creativity and innovation will be more important than before. Um, innovation and creativity is the most important element in business, um, and even in luxury business. In luxury business, we used to think that luxury is tradition. Yes, it is, but not only tradition plus innovation. The two in of the tradition, we might have the fact to service, the love. Okay, that's probably tradition. But luxury is always and will be in future a mixture between tradition and innovation. The two. We need the two. We cannot have only innovation. We need tradition. We cannot have only tradition. We need innovation. So innovation plus tradition. And that's not easy because it's not easy to combine the two because one comes from the past and the other one comes from the future. And to combine yesterday and tomorrow, that's not so easy. To combine now and tomorrow, yes, okay, because we have history, we can do that. But to combine today and tomorrow, who knows? So the fact that we will have to do a kind of fusion, which I defined when I was at Hublot, if to bring yesterday and tomorrow together. That is for me the future. Not 100% just innovation and not 100% just repeat the past. No, combine the two. And that's not easy.
Saying this, it's very nice because combining the past and the future, that means that we jump a little bit on this actual crisis and Corona and with everything. And at the end of this, I want to thank you very much for giving some optimism and some enthusiasm on our people. And I hope that in not late at October to have you as a guest probably in Bucharest with the other member from our International Advisory Board. Jean-Claude Biver, thank you very much for everything and for your advice, and I think that I want to transmit you also the appreciation of everybody who saw the first interview, that it was done in 2015, but still action. Thank you very much, and take care. Thank you.
Thank you. I thank you for the interview, and I promise we meet October or November in Bucharest.
Thank you very much. Bye bye.
Bye bye.